During the darkest years of World War II, when cities burned and fields lay cratered with shell fire, a quiet revolution took root beneath the rubble. Food shortages were everywhere. Supply lines collapsed, farmland was destroyed, and fertilizer factories were either bombed or converted for weapons production. Yet somehow, across Britain and occupied Europe, small gardens kept producing food, even under relentless bombing. The secret wasn't luck or miracle soil. It was a forgotten wartime method known as the soil cure, a simple but powerful technique that revived damaged earth, restored nutrients, and helped crops survive through destruction and deprivation. It turned ordinary garden plots into life-saving food sources. And the best part. The same method still works today for anyone wanting to build resilient soil without chemicals. The soil crisis began when war stripped the land bare. By 1940, Britain's dependence on imported food had become its Achilles heel. When German U-boats began blockading the Atlantic, imported fertilizers, especially nitrates and phosphates, vanished. Farmers and city gardeners alike faced a growing problem: exhausted soil. Bombing raids destroyed manure supplies and compost facilities, while rationing meant there was no room for agricultural waste. With hunger looming, the Ministry of Agriculture launched the Dig for Victory campaign, urging citizens to transform every garden, park and backyard into productive farmland. But turning lawns and bomb-damaged ground into fertile soil wasn't easy. The blasts had compacted earth, burned off microbes and scattered debris. Chemical fertilizers were out of reach. Gardeners had to rely on ingenuity and natural chemistry, and this led to the rediscovery of the soil cure, a technique that relied on microbial restoration, organic matter, and slow fermentation to bring the ground back to life. The soil cure worked because it focused on feeding life beneath the surface. The principle behind the WWII soil cure was simple yet revolutionary for its time. Instead of adding synthetic nutrients, gardeners focused on rebuilding the invisible ecosystem in the soil itself. They learned that healthy soil is alive, filled with bacteria, fungi and worms that transform waste into nourishment for plants. When bomb blasts stripped away this living layer, gardeners created a replacement using what little they had. They mixed grass clippings, shredded newspaper, ashes and kitchen scraps, layering them with thin spreads of soil and watering it down. This formed a decomposing mound that heated up internally, breaking waste into humus, a dark, spongy material rich in carbon and nitrogen. Within weeks, the resulting humus was spread over garden beds, restoring structure and moisture retention. The technique worked even in rubble-filled yards. People filled bomb craters with broken bricks, added layers of composting waste, and capped it with a few inches of soil. Within months, those same craters grew potatoes, beans and cabbages that fed entire neighborhoods. The soil cure wasn't just about recovery. It was a symbol of survival, proving that life could thrive even in the aftermath of destruction. Ashes, lime and compost formed the holy trinity of wartime soil revival. Without access to chemical fertilizers, civilians learned to make their own from household materials. Wood ash became a valuable source of potassium, a key nutrient for plant growth. It was mixed sparingly into compost heaps or scattered over acidic soil to balance pH levels. Lime, made from crushed chalk or even ground-up plaster, was used to neutralize bomb-contaminated ground where sulfur and metals from explosions had turned the soil toxic. The compost itself, often affectionately called victory humus, became the very foundation of recovery, you know. Some clever gardeners, in their resourcefulness, accelerated decomposition by adding small amounts of urine. This supplied the much-needed nitrogen. Others layered thin cloth soaked in seawater, which was rich in trace minerals, to boost the process. The result, my friends, was a nutrient-dense organic fertilizer. It strengthened roots and allowed plants to draw more water, even during those dreadful droughts or heat waves caused by the disrupted weather patterns. Now, in many wartime diaries, gardeners noted something remarkable. Crops grown on this living compost resisted disease and frost far better than those planted in untreated ground. Even bomb-shocked soils, once covered in humus, bounced back with extraordinary vigour. It was the biological resilience of the microbes, not human engineering, mind you, that saved those precious harvests. The WWII soil cure, well, it isn't just a historical curiosity, you see. It's actually a blueprint for sustainable soil health. Modern soil depletion, caused by over-farming and chemical overuse, mirrors the very problems faced during the war. Applying the same principles today can regenerate dead ground quickly and, importantly, cheaply. Quite fascinating, isn't it? So, to use the method yourself, you'll want to start by collecting carbon-rich material, like dried leaves, shredded paper or straw, and then mix that with nitrogen-rich sources such as kitchen scraps, green grass or even manure. Layer these in a pile, about 3 feet high, and, make sure to moisten each layer as you build it up. Every few days, give the pile a good turn with a fork to aerate it. In about 3 to 4 weeks, if the weather's warm, you'll notice the internal heat drops. That's your sign the decomposition is done. What you're left with is this dark, crumbly humus. It's the very same soil cure that helped World War II gardens survive, even under fire. Now, if your soil happens to be acidic or a bit compacted, just sprinkle a little wood ash or powdered lime before you apply the humus. This, honestly, mirrors the wartime balancing act that let plants thrive, even in chemically altered ground. And over time, you'll see the structure, moisture retention and fertility come back, all without needing any commercial fertilizers. This approach is especially powerful for survival gardeners or those preparing for resource scarcity. It requires nothing but organic waste and time. Yet it yields soil capable of sustaining crops through stress, the same resilience that kept wartime families alive. The soil cure's true power was psychological as much as agricultural. For people living under constant bombardment, gardening became more than food production. It was defiance. Restoring soil after bombs fell symbolized rebuilding life from ruin. Each green sprout was proof that destruction wasn't final. In London, families tended small garden beds between air raids. In Poland, resistance groups grew hidden crops using the same composting techniques to feed fighters. This connection between resilience and regeneration is the heart of the soil cure. It wasn't just about surviving a season. It was about proving that even the land could heal after devastation. That lesson is timeless. Whether it's war, climate change, or personal hardship, the same principle holds. When you feed the soil, you feed endurance itself. If you found this deep dive into the WWII soil cure inspiring, make sure to subscribe to In the Beginning. Every week we bring forgotten survival wisdom back to light. Methods that kept humanity alive when the odds were impossible. Share this video with fellow history enthusiasts and survivalists who believe that resilience starts from the ground up. Because in the end, history doesn't just tell us what people endured. It shows us how they overcame it.